Thank you, Mr. Skirbis. So we had another committee meeting, we had a work session tonight, and we brought in Captain Warner and Chief Leon Bruno from County Central Dispatch. Many of you were here for that, and it was all in reference to understanding more what Central Dispatch can offer the city of Kirtland. And this all came about through the initial request in our initial budget process for $140,000 for a new PSAP system, which no one in here is denying the fact that it's very, very old. And there is a chance that goes down at some point. It's been put to us. Councilman Lesnick and myself went over to the police department just a couple weeks ago, and graciously enough, Chief Nasi and Chief Hutton took us around, showed us the PSAP, showed us exactly what it was even, because we didn't know. And we, through this process, have learned what it does. But so with that, during the budget process, that request for $140,000, it was, what is PSAP? What is the PSAP system? What does it do? Well, it's this, and this costs $140,000 to get the system and the warranty for 3 years and the IT support for 3 years. If we didn't have the PSAP system, or if it went down, these are the questions that came up during that process. If we didn't have the PSAP system, or if it went down tomorrow and we didn't do this right away, what would happen? Well, we would be forced in a situation to have to, switch over to County Central Dispatch. What is County Central? Knowing what County Central Dispatch is, what does it do? How does it function? Does it do anything for other cities? Yes, it does. It does dispatch for all of the cities or villages, mostly in the eastern suburbs of Lake County. At that time, there was, I think, only one in western Lake County, and that was Kirtland Hills at the time. And so, with that, we said, well, is this something Kirtland should consider? Would this save us from having to spend $140,000? They have this dispatch program over there. Would it save us money and labor on the labor side? Well, of course it would. If you eliminated a department, you would save money on that department. And then so Chief Nasi gave us the bid or proposal from County Dispatch, and we saw it, and we saw that there would be $160,000 annual savings. So with that, we said, well, gosh, we really need to talk about this. And so I think it was in a finance committee meeting prior and during the budget. It was kind of a sticking point amongst myself and maybe some other members of council in terms of if there's this other agency, this other entity out there, and we know our dispatchers do a hell of a job here for our residents, but I was elected to have tough conversations, and I'm looking dispatchers in the eye when I say this. I was elected to have tough conversations, even if it meant having a conversation about the elimination of a department or elimination of a job, for God's sake. And I don't take any of that lightly, and I won't go through all that diatribe again because I said it at our committee meeting, but I don't take that stuff lightly. So the recommendation of the request was to continue this conversation, and Chief Hutton, to his credit, like I said, in that finance committee meeting said, and I believe, and you can correct me, I think I'll have the essence of it correct. Chief Hutton said, well, Councilman Potter, we can always include this in the budget, pass the budget, have the PSAP and dispatch conversation going forward, have that dispatch conversation, get all the facts and figures, all the pros and cons, all the intangibles and tangibles, and then make a decision, and then bring the legislation before you, and you'll have an opportunity to vote on it then to execute the spending of that. And I know there's been a lot of talk on Facebook. Well, I see Facebook, but I don't respond on it. Excuse me. Where's that gum, Skirbis? So anyhow, the talk on Facebook has been, well, they approved it. They're playing political games and they're holding back on this, for whatever reason, and for political reasons. And the answer to that is no. The answer to that is truthfully, and I can say this with 100% confidence, that it has been an effort to walk through a process and fully understand the pros and the cons, the finances of this. And guess what? It started off so we passed the budget with that. So had a committee meeting in June. I wasn't here for that. Went over and visited County Central in July. Impressive organization, impressive dispatchers, highly trained, highly credentialed. Captain Warner was in here earlier, for anyone that was in here earlier. He certainly is more than capable and runs a really good ship over there. If that ship's for us or not, I still don't know. But fast forward, have this next committee meeting. Lots of you guys were here. We talked a lot. We asked some tough questions. Again, looked you all in the eye and said, this is something we're considering. This is real, right? And this is something. And so through this process, I have to say that this started off as can we save money? And we can save $160,000. We just told Mrs. Carter here that there's no opportunity to pave her road this year. And this isn't to remind the mayor that we don't have any money. He knows it better than I do.
Council President Bauer, was 160 the net savings?
No, so please let me finish. Please let me finish. So through this process, I've discovered through conversations with our chiefs and with other chiefs that have gone to Central Dispatch, when our chiefs tell us that, and Chief Nasi tells me that in order to do this and keep our officers and our residents safe and our schools safe, that we would need to have 3 officers per shift all the time. I'm not willing to risk the safety of officers or any of you on the notion that we just save $160,000. I've said all along that this is a safety issue first. And again, it started off as an opportunity to maybe cut some costs. But I believe them, and other people verified that we would need to have additional officers. So then the question was going to become, and still may become, how much does it cost to expand our forces to, if we were to go to Central, have that $160,000 in savings, use that toward additional officers, maybe have a conversation with the schools, ask the mayor to have a conversation with the schools. Could they use a second resource officer? Would they pony up some money toward that second resource officer? Now we're making our schools safer, we're making our streets safer. And this is not to discredit you dispatchers. I know you people are really, really, really good. I mean, there's evidence here, and there's evidence on Facebook, there's evidence at the last meeting, there's evidence in the meeting in June that I wasn't here for. Evidence of the calls I get on the phone, text messages, and seeing people at the football games and the soccer fields. And a birthday party yesterday morning. What is going on? What are you guys up to? When I explain it in a way that says, hey, this started off as a cost-cutting measure, opportunity, potentially, and in weighing out the balances of our safety, and then realize that, well, it's actually, we're not going to save money, we'd have to spend more money. So then that was, to me, this conversation was going to evolve into, do we keep this department, do we move it over to County Central, and do we look at expanding our police force so we can have those 3 officers, so in fact, if there is an arrest, they can bring 2 officers who can come in. We still have somebody on patrol. Somebody goes out to county with a prisoner. We still have 2 officers back on patrol. So that's where this conversation was really going to go. I appreciate, first of all, Chief Hutton, because it is I'm just being frank and honest here. It's an uncomfortable thing for me to sit here and look at you people that do have jobs as dispatchers. And I can only imagine in my own home what the loss of one income would do. So I don't take this lightly. And maybe it seems like I have, maybe it seems like I've been a bit, callous in the process, but I've tried to keep it unemotional on my end. It's hard when I look in your faces, though. It's hard to do that. I guess for me, that's how this whole thing has evolved. That's where it started. That's where we're at today. And, we're a body of 7 people up here, and I know that there's 3 of them out of the gate that are dead against getting rid of dispatch. Just because, we had 4 people who were willing to table it the other night doesn't mean that those same 4 people are willing to go the extra length, go the extra mile, look people in the eye and say your department's gone, your job's gone, and we're going to Central and we're going to gamble, maybe or maybe not. Maybe we make the community safer with extra officers, maybe we make the school safer with another resource officer. I don't know. That's truly is for the professionals. Right now they're telling me no, right? And so I'm weighing all of this. I'm going to turn it over to the other councilman, but I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, this has not been a political game. I would never do that with the balance of people's lives at stake, and their finances, and their home, and their dignity, and their pride, the fact that they get up and go to work for a good city every day. I would never, ever, ever play a political game with that. Beyond that, and I'd ask you to trust me. Maybe some of you might, maybe some of you wouldn't.